Ah, hell. I'm in the wrong game again. Hello everyone, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, so if you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you at another Let's Play episode of Echo, Jenna's Path. So the last place we left off, we'd all, encountered the creepy van that we see in loading screens sometimes. Yeah, also there was a really nasty, creepy little secret about Leo and Micha. Yeah. It was bad. But anyway, guys, let's jump right back into this horror show and see just where exactly it takes us. Anyway, guys, let's do it. Alright. Despite his demeanor, he's definitely visibly unnerved by all this. I'm parroting shit I heard from a guy who's probably dead. For a while, when I was younger, I thought I heard Keith's voice, too. Tell me the shit I wanted to hear, but shit, that wasn't good for me. So I got the fuck out of town. Jenna throws her hands up, squeezing the pendant on her necklace. I can't handle this. I'm going to do what the spooky van wants and leave. It's not the van. A voice in my head speaks, softly, like a whisper from right behind my ear. It's a masculine voice, but not my own. An older man, with kind of an old Western accent. Okay, so now I know what to do with the voice. Okay, old Western accent. So kind of what I'm doing for Micha. Familiar. Glancing back, there's no one there. Without thinking, I speak. It's not the van. And how do you know that? I don't know, I admit. There's a long silence and Leo's tail curls inward. He's biting the inside of his cheek, thinking hard. Finally, he looks me in the eyes again. It's me. That thing. It follows me. I thought it was you, but it's not. It's not you. You're different now. He gesticulates in my direction. Leo, I love. Please, be quiet for a sec, huh? Leo interrupts the otherworldly voice like he's shushing a small child. Now he's looking at me, but his gaze seems to shift toward the horizon, a 1,000-yard stare. Chase, you all left and it was never the same. So I tried to cope. I remember all the stuff you used to say to me, even the naggy shit. All your banter. Hell, I imagine every day at work that you're there with me, talking to me while I'm fixing cars. I pretend I'm teaching you about the basics, like changing oil or replacing headlights. I know it's not riveting stuff, but in my head, you love me and I love you. There's just some distance, that's all. I drive home, listening to whatever it is on the radio, and I imagine you reacting to it. Groaning every time the word truck is mentioned in every country in a country song, or making some snide-ass remark about the political ads. A little smile curves upward along his jowls, though it diminishes as quickly as it forms. That little drop of blood running down the fur of his cheek finally splatters onto the cab floor beneath him. When I get home, I go online and, there's this pulling in my chest, like a dread, you know? I click on the social media shit and it's you, the real you. And you're different. You're wearing new shirts, hanging with new friends, drinking fancy college beers, growing terrible facial hair. I just my goatee briefly. Micha gives me a sidelong glance. And it feels like I'm losing you all over again. So I just avoid it. I pretend. I pretend that we all drink together on the patio as the sun goes down on Saturdays. I pretend that you're there beside me at home, watching me play my games. And I pretend at night that pillow I've got my arms wrapped around is you. Making your little irk noises you do when you realize your head fur, when I ruffle your head fur or squeeze you. Leo plants his rump against the side of the cabin, sliding down to a sitting position as he clutches his head. And then one day you started talking back. At first it was quiet. In the back of my head, not even really noticeable. And over time it just got more real, yeah? Soon I was looking in mirrors and seeing you standing there, a reflection in a window or a pool of water. Sometimes I swear you could even touch me. But it wasn't you. Not the real you. It wasn't the you I wanted you to be. This perfect, subservient thing. But it didn't make me happier. It was just a dream. A dream that kept blurring between, what was real and what wasn't. And so I wanted to see you. The real you. To, I don't know, get a grip? Fix me? But it just made things worse when you didn't give a shit. When I would smile and you would look away, and you'd take every chance to hang with others instead of me. His eyes flicked briefly towards Jenna before trailing back to the space between his feet, the wolf breathing slowly. Man, this is messed up. At least Leo seems to be coming to grips with this. These past few days, I've been unlike anything I've ever felt before. I forgot what was real and what wasn't, and it drive me up the walls, you know? So, sorry, I just... He rubs his face. Fuck! The wolf goes still, the gravity of his words rendering everyone silent, even the radio. Jenna, who seems to be constantly wavering between lingering and noping the fuck out of here, glances back over her shoulder. Her grievances with Leo and Micha are apparently lessened in the face of continued paranormal onslaught. So this thing that we're seeing as manifested by the hum is some sort of tulpa? Yep. Guys, if you don't know what a tulpa is, it is a thought form entity. A tulpa? The name sounds familiar, like something Carl mentioned to me in passing. In layman, a more advanced version of an imaginary friend. The Fennec frowns deeply, thinking. The process of induction, visualization, thought form, and other mental forcing can stimulate these sorts of psychosomatic happenings. Generally, you see it with people who say they talk to Jesus or other religious icons that encourage prayer and meditation upon idols. You're saying, like, I'm like some kind of worshipped idol? Jenna sighs as Leo slinks down a little. Sure. That still doesn't explain why we can see and hear this thing. Honestly, it's more likely we're enduring some sort of collective traumatic hallucination. But right now, I'm just spitballing here to rationalize this. She swirls her paw in the direction of the van. A person that others can see and interact with, born from a dream. We watch the radio, though it doesn't chime in. I think it's gone. Another silence. Finally, Micha speaks up. Jesus fuck, Leo. Can't you just print out Chase's yearbook picture and tape it to the fleshlight like a normal person? Oh my god. Leo looks to Micha, his tired, wounded face slipping into a grin before he starts to chuckle. It's the first bit of proper laughter I've heard from him in days, even if it is bittersweet. Micha, I'm sorry. Dude, for real, it's fine. Micha once watches Leo with some wariness in his golden eyes, crossing his tattooed arms over his chest. Nah. What do you mean, nah? Nah. We have just been messing around, but you had shit rough at home. Everyone knew it. And I just didn't want to think about it, yeah? You just disappeared one day and that was that. But you were small. Didn't have nobody to turn to. I should have been there for you. Micha scuffs his foot against the dirt, looking a mixture of frazzled and embarrassed at the conversation taking place. We didn't have that kind of relationship. Not like you and Chase had. Relationship? The bat looks at me, quickly clarifying. It wasn't really a relationship or nothing. That was a bad word to use. Just two kids who both kinda knew they liked dudes and experimenting. There's a twisting sensation in my chest as I look at both of them, and imagining them in the van. Right before it was essentially the most romantic night of my life, the day I felt most loved and special out of any. With a $700 camera and a 3-year age difference. Micha ignores Jenna. Judging by your expression, I'm guessing he never told you. I don't blame him. Leo scoots himself to the back of the van, hanging his legs off the end as he looks to me. And I should have. I just didn't want to lose you, you know? He's looking at me now. And yet he lost you anyway. Oh. It's all I can manage to say. Leo turns his attention back to Micha. I'm no replacement for Keith, but I should have helped you get back on your feet, introduce you to the group. That would have been interesting, having... yeah, that would have been interesting, man. If he had done that, then Micha would have been part of the group. He would have been part of the reunion, too. Dios, you and Chase would have gotten along after a while. Didn't you want to be a journalism major? Jenna, despite the apologetic tone of Leo, definitely doesn't seem eager to stick around for this conversation. Man, that was a lifetime ago. We could have taken your feral ass in, shown you how society works. Come on, you probably don't even know how to do your taxes. Micha clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth, kind of like how Leo does. Fuck taxes. Government ain't getting shit. Anyway, he clears his still raspy throat, wincing as he swallows. If you want to get ahead in life, you can't rely on others. You gotta get it for yourself. He passes a glance toward Jenna for a moment. We did. I chime in, still trying to wrap my head around that revelation from earlier. Micha looks like he's about to snap back with something biting, but just waves it off with a flop of his hand. Anyway, if you want forgiveness, you got it. Let's just put some distance between us and this Hum's hot spot, okay? Please. Micha grunts once, beginning to walk off behind Jenna. After a moment, he slows some, looking back at Leo. Glad you finally woke up though. Yeah, it is okay. So good. Leo has got his senses back for the most part. Okay, all right. Jenna rubs her face into the pads of her paws. She's shaken, nerves frazzled. Micha and Leo too. Though I just feel numb. All this insane shit is happening around me, and it's like a dream, something not even real. There's a layer of separation between what I perceive and what's really occurring in front of me. Watching a playback of memories projected right onto my own eyes. It's not the first time I've felt like this. Even outside the supposed hysteria, it's never been so strong. But as I glance behind me, the van's still there. Real as ever. Micha and the newly sobered Leo walk on ahead. Maybe it's like a minefield, you know? Projecting thoughts and shit for everyone to see. Yeah, I have to just think real hard about Carl. We can take his spooky fucking doppel home with us instead. Save us some real trouble. After a while, I can't make out what they're saying. They're talking with a more serious tone, their voices lowered. I'm not sure if I even want to know what they're discussing now. As we approach the edge of the old highway, my eyes settle upon a small mound of dirt with a carefully placed stone on the center. I'd walked down this stretch of Route 65 about a dozen times growing up, and have seen this before, but was never curious enough to investigate. There's something about it that's drawing my attention, and then I realize why. The dream from last night. The grave. That's the spot. I stop. The others still walking ahead. They're following the road now back to town, or at least until we get to the railroad crossing, and then we can follow that. I look back to the mound of dirt and am compelled to approach it. Without really thinking, I'm on my knees. Dig. What? What? Just do it. Next thing I know, I'm scooping the tips of my paws through the packed soil, digging up dirt and tossing the clumps aside. I don't know why I'm doing this. I close my eyes, trying to snap out of it. It doesn't help, and soon there's this musty smell in the air like the inside of an old attic. I've managed to dig about a foot down to the earth so far, and the smell is only growing stronger. At about 2 feet down, something solid touches my fingertips. I keep going, dusting off dirt around whatever it is. The surface is curved and cracked in places, like pottery. Even before I get all the dirt off, I have a hunch of what it is. 2 empty sockets stare up at me, and I stare back. Hello. A voice plays in my head, much more profound than I've ever heard it before. After all this time, to end up here. The voice almost sounds like it sighs, then goes silent. Are you the guy in the grave? Asks the voice, which shrinks more clearly with each passing word. The way he sounds, it's like he's right here, despite the unnatural cadence. The voice in my head? I whisper to the skull, compelled to touch it. Any skin or fur has long since rotted away, and the head itself is a yellowed ivory color. His clothes, from what are visible, are in tatters, but the remnants of a button-up shirt and suspenders can still be seen. The voice doesn't respond, so I ask another question. Who are you? A tumbleweed rolls by along the road in front of me, the others getting further and further away. Instead of responding, I feel myself begin to dig further down, scooping out a few more mounds of dirt until something leather and small can be seen. A hardy little wallet with a snake emblem pressed into the center. Flipping it open, several business cards and dollar bills practically dissolve in the exposed air, though there is a plastic ID card in the back. It's a driver's license, clearly decades old with the faded ink of several stamps covering most of it. What text can be seen is in that old-timey typewriter font. I wipe my thumb across the surface, wiping away the dirt and grime. Samuel Ayers, date of birth 1890. There's a little picture of an elderly pale feline with stark, reddish-looking eyes that remind me slightly of Leo's. He looks haggard and sad, ancient, really. A relic of another time. The man from my dreams. I should be terrified, but again, I still feel disconnected. A passive viewer can only sometimes speak without any control. Now you know how I feel. I managed to swallow, peering into those sockets like they were looking back at me. I've never met a ghost before, I remarked quietly. Not a ghost. Then what are you? Another drawn-out silence, though this time I waited out. Maybe something like that thing on the radio in the van. It's older and changed now. It's gone, but I'm still here. Clinging to you like a lifeboat in open water. We've been together for some time. Didn't see one another for a while, but you came back. They always come back. Together? I don't... I trail off, trying to wrap my head around what he means and what's really happening. I lean back some, feeling less resistance on my movements. I feel weird, like I'm not really here. You felt this way for a while now. It always happens like this over time. Here it's just a little stronger. With me. My gaze is pulled down to the license in my grip. Again I read the name. Samuel Ayers. He goes quiet for a moment, then speaks up again. With him. His voice falters, a strange conveyance of emotion in his otherwise stilted, monotone presentation. I speak up again. There's something wrong with me. It's like I'm not doing things on my own anymore. You're not. I'm with you. You're indecisive by nature. What? How? I choose. That doesn't make any sense. Why are we connected? How do I make this all go away? He says nothing, but I can hear him rumbling, stirring. At least 15 seconds pass before said stirring turns into words. You came back to find the truth, or that's what you told yourself. You've known it all along. You just bury it over and over again. Each failing, uncomfortable moment or horror. You can't face anything. You're just like him. The man with the hat that's always too tight. Brains splattered on fresh grass, pine needles and a whimpering child. I don't... You're weak. You're pathetic. There's a pause, and again his tone shifts, a deviation from his uniform speaking pattern. His voice sounds softer, distant, like an echo of something said far away. Be safe, kid. Before I have time to comprehend anything, I hear footsteps upon the asphalt in front of me. Chase, what are you still doing back here? What are you looking at? Jenna steps closer, peering into the little hole I had dug. She thins her lips. Oh. What's going on? The least booming voice calls out from down the highway, the wolf looking back at us. Jenna just stares at the desiccated remains for a moment before calling back. Chase dug up an old corpse! God damn it, Chase! Jenna sighs, resting her paws on her knees and letting her head hang down. What he said. She looks up after a moment, spying the card in my hand. Is that an ID? Yeah, Samuel Ayers is the name. I think he's the one who got hit by the van. Oh. She looks off to the side. Great. Huh? What, Chase? She responds, exasperated. Don't you care? Someone died here. I think he matters somehow, to me. Chase. Her eyes drift to the skull cropping out of the mound of dirt. God, I've passed this so many times just out here walking, never knowing there was a person buried here. How old is the ID card? I squint at some of the smudged text. 70s, I think. At least that's when it was last renewed. Jenna frowns. Poor guy. She crouches down beside me, taking the license for a moment. You should hold on to this, so that we can give it to the proper authorities for them to handle. I wonder if anyone out there is still looking for him, or even remembers who he is. Her eyes flick over the little card, settling on the picture. He looks kind of familiar, too. She hands me back the ID, and extends out her own arm to help me up. With a knot in my stomach, I take her hand and use her weight to rise up without putting too much strain on my injured leg. I think he might be in my head. The words leave my mouth more casually than I meant, and Jenna does a little double-take toward me before letting go. Well, tell him I said hi. We'll deal with him in a bit. She just likes Cynthia sometimes. He says you're just like Cynthia sometimes. Jenna stares at me, in the grave, then back to me. She brings 2 fingers to her temple, massaging it. Chase, please don't listen to the voices in your head right now. She responds curtly as Micha arrives behind her, Leo hobbling at his side. You okay, Otter? I look at him for a long moment and answer honestly. I don't know. Same. Let's just get going, okay? Chase, you can keep leaning on me if it hurts to walk. I give her a grateful nod as I rest an arm on her shoulder. Thanks. As we head off, Micha lingers a little behind us, staring into the shallow grave. He steps off the road, pushing pushing the dirt I'd removed back into the hole with a few hasty swipes of his foot. Before anyone can ask what he's doing, he catches back up with us, staring straight ahead. We've been walking for what feels like ages. The moon's still high in the sky and the taste of water in the air. Maybe it will rain. After we got switched around and ended up on the wrong side of the highway, we realized we were much closer to Heather's than the motel. So to Tetanus Alley we go. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right there. It's a good place to end it. Man, creepy episode. Well, now we have a name to the voice and to the old man who got hit on the highway. Samuel Ayers. I reckon we'll be hearing more from him in a bit. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!